Now we need to carefully flip it. Great. Without them falling out. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Lo and behold, I actually made a mistake. I'll switch it on and it should really rotate. There you go. Beautiful. Today we're going to combine the previous two builds and add them to our dome. We got a couple of screws, the ring, and we've got some hubs and hub assemblies and wheels. Now always check before you start, there's no mistake. A, B, C, D, yep. And it's very important to figure out which screw you use for what part. So that's something that's easily being mistaken. Now I'm using these tubs. You just can get them in any craft store. I use them here just to separate the screws, so I won't make any mistakes. You can label them if you want, but I couldn't be bothered. So let's open up and see what we get. And again, the screws are marked here, and now I'm going to keep these just to make it a bit easier to remember which is which. So this is BP, and there should be 10 of them. Probably just need one and one spare. So let's throw them in here and leave the label BP right there. Nice. AP. Okay. And leave the label here, AP. And CP, the last set of screws. And I'll leave the label here. Now, these two are quite different obviously, but AP and BP are very similar. I can't even tell the difference just looking at them. I think the top bit is slightly larger, so keep the labels. Will help you from making mistakes. All right, now let's see, what do we have in here? Be very careful. You don't throw away bits you may later need. Okay, this seems to be part B, and this is C, and we have another bit. Let's use another one. Let's the wheels in here, the assembly, and the wheel caps. I think that should be all. Always double check. Yep, empty. And the cock ring. Nice. All right. Cool. Well, let's put this aside. Now have a look at the parts we need. This is what we previously built. And lo and behold, I actually made a mistake. Now I don't know if you remember that I said last time that they were symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which side you use. Well, I was wrong. They're not symmetrical. If we align the cuts here in the middle, we can see the motor is either biased left or right. So I mounted it the wrong side. I've just put the motor on the right side, and now we can see it matches the picture. Nice. All right, let's see what we have to do first. We assemble these bits. So we take a wheel. What do we need? We need part C. We need one of these. Actually, we won't mix these up, so we can just throw them on here. And we're going to add a ring. Is there a difference, or are they symmetrical? Doesn't matter how you place them? No, apparently not. They're just wheels. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. We don't need these yet. Okay. And now we're going to turn this upside down and push these through the openings. Now, these openings are keyed, so you can't really put them in the wrong side. It means it's not quite circular. You can see the flat bit, so it will only go in one way. So let's carefully place these in. Now I can see what they're for. They're the actual wheels. bit like USB keys, the old ones. You always put them in the wrong way first. Okay, let's push these in. Nice. Now we need to carefully flip it. Great. Without them falling out. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Alrighty. Might have started with that. How do we do this? Yeah, it's not going to work. But I guess we just have to pop these caps on. Aha! And then we need to screw with the screws. Which one? AP. And these are these little ones. So it's easier to do it one at a time. So let's just drop this one out. And then let's not follow the instructions. Let's just get the right screw. AP. Let's get them all 4 of them out of the box. And trying to do this. Okay, this is not working. What we may want to do is just put it on the flat surface. It's easier. Now, a tip, I could have done this. You could have just put them in and then use some tape to hold them in place. It would have been easier in hindsight, but nah. This will work. Okay. One down. And let's pop in the second one. And the cap. The caps are key too, so we can't really put them on wrong. There you go. And another screw. Come on, stay there. Now my hands are probably in the way of the camera, but it's not that complicated. And last one. Now just make sure that I don't make another mistake. It's actually done on the right side, so the wheels are on the bottom opposite the motor assembly. Yeah, looks about right. And one more, put one screw back. That's our spare. Back, here we go. All right, so far so good. What do we do now? Now we're gonna get our assembly from issue 15. Yep. And we have the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. There we go. Or there we don't. Now these align. Yep. There we go. Perfect. Again, they've spaced them in such a way that you really can't make a mistake. Having said that, you need to pop them on. And plastic slightly warped. There you go. Cool. Now what screw do we need? AP, which is, hang on, before they used AP, we used them here. Now we got to use AP again. That does not make sense. Oh, CP. Again, that picture, somebody should proofread these things. CP. Alright, that makes sense. We need the ones that are broad, the broad tops, so it holds them in place. Okay. Now this one is a bit tricky because my ring does not perfectly align, so I'm going to do it in opposites. As soon as I let go, it will snap out. I'm going to try to work in triangles. Again, be very careful, screw these in. Oh, that was what I was afraid of. What just happened, I slightly over tightened and I can see it keeps rotating, so you actually start damaging the inner bit of the shaft and then the screw doesn't hold. Be very careful. Ideally, you would have used brass inserts or heat stakes, but that would have made the project a bit more complicated and expensive, I guess. Not just a cost factor, but in order to use heat stakes you need to melt them in, and not everybody has the tools to do so. So I guess they settled on just using plastic and self-tapping screws, which will do the job, but I would have preferred some metal insert so you can take it apart again in a later time and make some adjustments, but it's not the end of the world. There's not a lot of force on these bits of plastic, although gotta say this ring, it's not a perfect fit, so it wants to pop off. So there's actually a counterforce on these screws constantly. Maybe I should have used a few dabs of glue to take the pressure off the screws. Oh well. Okay, done. Next, we're gonna take our ring, and that is gonna be placed on top as well. Is there a particular way, or doesn't it matter at all? Must be a way to align this. Doesn't seem to have any screw holes on the top. Now, like I said, a very important part before you build, actually read the instructions, which I haven't done, just winging it. But let's see. Okay, yeah. And rotate it so that the 3 locating wheels are moved away from the recesses in the car. Okay. Aha. Okay. Right, so let's see if I can make that clear on the camera. There are, look at the wheels here. There's a recess, a little circular cut. That's where they belong. Here we have the dome assembly. Now I can always already spot an issue. We need a cable. Otherwise, once it's in place, can't really do much with it, or can't reach the electronics. We definitely have 2 connectors left here. So we're going to connect to here and a connector there. We need to populate. If we put the assembly on, how do we get to the rest of the cables? All right, let me have a quick look. One moment. Now, the first thing you want to do is check the alignment. Originally, it wants you to assemble this and put it in together, but I won't do it like that, because you need to be able to access the electronics, and by leaving the top plate off, everything is still accessible. The way it works actually, let me show you, is you want to align up these 3 wheels with these 3 cuts in here. So let's align the center wheel, and you can see the indentation. So once the wheels line up, you just give it a quick turn, and now it's locked in place. Okay, you can easily install it, but I won't do it like that. I'll tell you why in a sec. Let me just remove it, because it's just easier doing it like this. Study the drawing very carefully. I've done it, and I've actually marked the dots, how and where to connect it. Now make sure the motor assembly is upside down, and you can see I've marked a white dot here with an acrylic marker. It's very useful, and I have a dot on the inside. So now I know how to align the ring and make sure it fits perfectly. All right, and make sure the motor is down, not up. Okay, now we're going to use these BP screws and just attach the ring really quickly. Now I'm using opposite ends again to fasten it. Just make sure that if it's slightly out of alignment, you always want to start with opposite ends, then it realigns itself. Don't tighten the screws too much. You can do that in the end. Now I also want to remark that I am using a different screwdriver. Eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that I'm not using the provided screwdriver. And there's actually nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's an excellent screwdriver. I really, really love the screwdriver. It's better than most of mine. However, it's got a very long shaft, sharp tip, and it will give you a very large amount of torque. So it's very easy to over tighten these screws or actually snap the shaft. So I want to have a bit more control, so I'm using this smaller screwdriver. That means it takes a little bit more effort to screw them in, but it gives me just a better control over the force. So it's not that easy to over tighten the screws. But I gotta say, it's an excellent screwdriver and it will be one of my favorites from now on. So there's nothing wrong with the toolkit they provided. I just like to be extra careful. All right, let's get these screws in. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so one more. And we should have one spare, which we do. Cool. All right, now to place this, I've done the same thing. You see those 3 indentations, and I actually marked them on the opposite side with white dots. So now it's very easy to take the assembly in and out. So let's put this cable through. We only do this to test the motors. Obviously it needs to be connected in the PCB at some point. Let's find the orientations of the wheel. Match it up roughly, okay? Push the cable through, and now it should just fit. There we go. Slightly rotate, and now it's assembled. All we need to do is use our extension cable and connect it to the motor. Make sure it's off. Yes. Gonna use a trusty battery pack. 1001 uses. All right. Now we switch it on, and it should really rotate. There you go. Beautiful. It's working. Now we can remove this. Again, carefully. These are not the best connectors to be reusing over and over, but it does the trick for now. So that's it for this assembly.